Welcome to episode 97. I got here Kevin with me. Thanks for being here, Kevin.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate
Can you
appreciate the
let the
invite.
list? Thank you for coming. Can you let the listeners and audience know a little bit about yourself?
Definitely. So my name's Kevin Benevides. I am a husband, father of three, and professionally, I
Hello.
work as a men's transformational coach. And yeah, over the last just over 4 years, I've been coaching men to help them really mature emotionally, heal things from their past, and really step into the most authentic and best version of themselves to support themselves, not just in their life overall, but specifically in their marriage, in their family, at home, right? And
Yeah,
a lot of the things that I coach men with or about are things that I've had to work on within myself over the last now almost 12 years. And so 12 years in the years that I've been actually working on myself, right? But I needed it way longer than that, but it's
yeah,
been the last 12 years I've been working on myself. But yeah, it's come from that passion of the things that I've worked through, and I just taken that forward and created content and reached out with people online and created an online community, and from there, built my business practice or my coaching business or my coaching practice from there.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Let's shift gears and go back a little bit, time traveling. Go back to
Sure.
how childhood was like for you.
Interesting. Great question. Uh, so my mom and dad were factory workers.
Mm.
And so that meant that they worked a lot of shift work, where
Yeah,
sometimes they'd work during the day, sometimes they work in the afternoon, sometimes they work it overnight. And so a part of what that causes me not sort of having that stable home where both of my parents are, with us in the evening. So we spend a lot of time, myself and my siblings, at on my grandparents' house. So I was raised by my grandmother. So I spent a lot of time with her. Um, Other than that, I loved playing hockey. I loved doing what kids did, right? Playing Nintendo
yeah,
back then and all those things. And from my perspective, I had a good childhood. And then life happens. And,
that
when you
happens.
look
Yes.
back,
Yeah,
life happens. And then now you look back and you start to see, the things that happened that weren't actually okay or helpful, the things that actually hurt, in this case, hurt me. Um, but I was surrounded by a lot of family. That's the thing. Even though I didn't have my parents around all the time, I was surrounded by a lot of family. And I'm grateful for that, because for me, it's like, sure, I didn't have, let's just say, the father I needed, but I did have a lot of uncles who sort of stepped up and filled in those shoes for different
yeah.
things. And so definitely grateful for that.
What were you impacted anyways, like being not being like around your parents as much? Did that have kind of effect on yourself?
Uh, well, definitely not having them as present as I needed. It's like my needs weren't met fully, right?
Yeah,
Um, a lot of times, actually, in the last few years, working through some relationship stuff, which obviously for me
yeah,
stemmed back
translate.
to my
Yeah,
relationship with my mom. Uh, in my mind, I always thought, but I had my grandmother there all the time. It was fine, and it's not the same, right?
mm,
That it wasn't. She wasn't my mom, right?
yeah,
And I
of course.
needed my mom to be there for me in certain ways, and so um, and I use this word lightly, but like the neglect wasn't purposely.
Yeah, of
It was
course.
just a consequence of the life that they were living, and that impacted me. But again, as a kid, you don't necessarily see this and feel this. Um, it just happens, but it obviously it takes a toll on us, and it impacts how we end up moving forward into our adult lives.
Yeah. How was like the some of the challenges or some of the limiting beliefs that were challenging during childhood?
What some of the, like, my beliefs that I formed?
or like some of the things that held you back because of some of the ways you were raised or like childhood?
Yeah, for sure. So one that stands out as soon as you asked that question was that my needs don't matter. That,
Yeah,
I have to, um, I can't do the things that I want because it's not as important as keeping the peace at home, in a sense, right?
that's the
Like
deep.
I know, like I because I love sports, I wanted to
Yeah,
go to high school and play football and play hockey and play all these sports, but yet I didn't. I chose not to because what would be required of that is I needed somebody to take me to practice, somebody pick me up, and it would mess with the schedule that my parents had because again, it wasn't like I would leave home and I would go home. I would leave home. Sorry, I wouldn't leave school and go home. I would leave school and go to my grandparents' house and
yeah,
then wait for my parents to come. And so knowing that, hey, if I disrupted the schedule, I might upset my dad. It's like I don't want to upset him.
yeah.
So it's like I'm just not going to do the things that I want so that I could keep the peace at home kind of thing. And I
And
remember thinking that, not exactly in these words, but I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
like, oh no, I can't go try out for that team. I can't do that. I got to get home, right? Like I got to be there because in my mind, it's like if I'm not there, he's going to get upset. And then obviously as a kid, I don't know how to deal with that. So I definitely remember that as a teenager. So that's sort of really the belief there was like my needs don't matter. What I need for myself, what I want for myself, it doesn't matter. What matters is keeping the peace at home.
that's the deep. That's really powerful. And then how was like high school and like university? How was that for you?
Once I started driving, I think a
Yeah.
lot of things shifted because
Yeah,
then I was on my own schedule in a
yeah,
sense. Um, so that definitely helped. That allowed me to sort of now spend time with friends, go do my own things. So that freedom
mm,
is huge, and I still in a way uh, that's something that I value is
yeah,
freedom. It's why I even have the career that I have now is because I didn't want to be tied down to someone else's
yeah,
schedule. I wanted to
yes.
create my own schedule. But I wanted when I felt that freedom once I got my driver's license and my parents are like, sure, you can take the car
Woo!
to school today.
Yeah,
Yeah, I loved it. It was amazing, right? Because it was again, I was able to do the things that I wanted to do, albeit, I still had a time that I needed to drop off the car or whatever the thing was, but still there was a freedom to it. I remember that in like the ends of like grade 11, having that freedom and how that felt. So that definitely is something that stands out.
and then like through universities, did you know you wanted to be like a coach, or this was
No,
like
no,
later on?
no. That was definitely later on. I went to school for graphic design.
Oh no
And
way!
so,
I
yeah,
went to what's it called? Digital visual effects, so like post production.
awesome. Cool. Yeah, I went to school for graphic design. So graphic design pre-production and then like design and then also
Yeah,
like printing and stuff like that. It's
yeah,
all
yeah, yeah,
combined. So anyways, I went to school for that, went to college, got my diploma, and then I started working. I got my a job as a graphic designer and I worked for a company for 11 years doing that sort of
oh,
work. And I did end up working in like a print in the printing department, and I actually like was a supervisor and all that stuff. So I did that for a long time, 11 years.
yeah. That's a
But
long time.
by the time that 11-year mark hit, at that time I didn't necessarily want to be a coach. I knew I wanted to do something online. I knew I wanted to, have my own schedule, freelance. So I started freelancing, and that's sort of where the next step went. And I started freelancing, and I got into social media work. But all in that time, this is already in the times that I was already working on myself, healing, working on my marriage, working through my people pleasing, and all that stuff. And so, um, again, it was just a process. And then eventually, it was like, I don't want to just do this and have this information and share it because initially when I started working on myself, when certain things went on for me back in 2013, I started sharing my journey on Facebook. I started my own website and blogged, so I was sharing my journey already. And I was like, I don't want to just share this stuff. I want to be able to actually support someone with it. And that sort of um, was sort of the stepping stones to getting into coaching.
How was like your healing? Did you hire coaches yourself, or how was that process for you?
So initially I went to see a mental health counselor,
Yeah, yeah.
but that wasn't really healing work. But there was
No, it
obviously
wasn't.
started to talk about unpacking
Yeah.
things, and because what ended up happening when I was 33. I'm trying to think. It was 20, and in 2013, so it's 30. No, I was 31. So in 2013, my dad got really sick.
Mm,
Something happened with his health, and in that time, I thought that he was going to pass away. It looked like, from my perspective,
yeah,
like he wasn't going to make it through this. And so, what happened was, a lot of stuff from my childhood that I sort of like pushed down came to the surface because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my dad, and I never really had the dad I needed. I, clear as day remember the events and thinking that and feeling that and all the things that came up. And so the 6 months that came afterwards were really tough because not only was I dealing with all the stuff that I sort of pushed down for so long, I was dealing with severe anxiety. I fell into the depression. So like it was really hard. And so I at first started to see a mental health counselor. And then from there, he was always saying, hey, you should learn mindfulness. And I'm like, what's this mindfulness? Every other, like every session, he's like, you
yeah.
should learn mindfulness. You should learn mindfulness. And I'm like, no, I didn't want to do that. And then eventually, almost like 6 months in, I was really, really struggling. One of the sessions, he said the exact same thing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try that out. And interesting enough, I knew someone who actually taught that. And so I reached out to him, and that was sort of the beginning of my healing journey because not only did he teach me mindfulness, he really started to help me see things clearly, work on my anxiety, and that sort of was the doors open to sort
Yeah,
of my healing and my transformation.
yeah.
Started there. That's where it really started. So that's where it started. So I had a mentor. So to initially to answer your question that you
Yeah.
asked was
Yeah,
I had a
yeah.
mentor to help me through it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then some of the wisdom, what are some of the wisdom you parted with your kids, or how it affected raising them, or what changed?
A lot changed. So much. I don't right now trying to think of specific. So many things changed, but
I
one
guess
one of the
giving,
major things
yeah,
changed is the fact of like how I show up emotionally
for them. Yes.
for them, how present I actually am. Before before all this happened, when I was 31, I already had two kids. So I you know I got married early. I had kids when I was by
Yeah.
24, 25,
Wow.
26, something like that. I had two kids. And so before then, I was present. So in my
Yeah.
mind, being a good father meant being present because my father wasn't really present. So
Yeah.
as long as I was home, I was around them, I'm a good dad.
Yeah. That's what I
But
figured too.
what I'm doing in the time that I'm with them, now that's a whole different thing, right? So like I'd be
Mm,
watching sports or I'd be doing my own thing, or I'd be like, I remember trying to rush my kids off to bed because I wanted to watch the rest of the hockey game. And
yes.
I wasn't
Yes. Yes.
really tucking them in or reading them a story. So in like I wasn't there for them the actually way they actually needed me. All I thought is as long as I'm here under the same roof, we're good. Right. And so one of the things that shifted was my priorities, my values, the
Of
way I
course.
looked at life. And those things didn't matter to me afterwards. So like watching sports and all these other things didn't matter. And then what I was talking about a minute ago is emotionally, like because I started to tackle and deal with my emotional world, I was now able to support them better. And obviously that, improved over the years and especially over the last, 5, 6 years, completely different, right? So where they can be, upset, crying, angry, and I know how to I use the word keep myself grounded, right? Staying grounded. I can stay grounded within myself and not sort of lose it, not or like be so like just stop crying and like basically like dismissing their feelings, their emotions. Instead, now I know that I'm here for them. I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's bothering you? Or if they are getting angry and maybe I have now two teenagers, if they get a little lippy, it's like, hey, like watch what you're saying, like set a little some boundaries, right? But I do that from a place of not like freaking out, or
Yeah,
just like panicking. That's another thing, right? Like panicking of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
that's profound and deep. And then like some of those kind of inner works, how did you go overcome them after having a mentor?
Say that again. Sorry. Can you repeat
So
your
like what
question?
was the after result of seeing a mentor, and like how was the healing journey afterwards?
Well, yeah, one, I would just say it's like having someone who knows the path to take and has a different perspective. And that's what I love about coaching is like we have a different, I'm not living your life in a sense, right? I'm not living that
Yeah,
person's life. In this case, he wasn't living my life, but he can see things clearly. I was like, I
yeah,
can't
yeah,
see things clearly.
yeah.
He's in a different perspective, so he could see better. So having
Shine
that
the light on
perspective
it.
is,
Yeah,
yeah, it was so key. Um, but afterwards, there's been many times where I've hired coaches, I've worked with therapists, um, and it's always like I can't see all my stuff, and I
of
need
course.
somebody else to see it and challenge me on it and guide me through it and hold space for it. Um, so I'm not sure if that answers your question, but
No, it does.
yeah, it's like knowing that I don't have to do it on my own. I've done a lot of things on my own, and there are times where you can't, right? And so knowing that, hey, I have somebody on my corner. And sometimes that's finding somebody new, and sometimes that's going back to the same person you've used before.
Yeah,
So like my mentor that I'm talking about that initially started helping me,
yeah, yeah,
he's in my life. Like he's never left my life in a sense, right?
yeah. Sometimes some of those relationships leave, but in your case, you still have it.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And what were some of the, as you're coaching people, what are some of the insights or things you never thought about? Has that changed since you have been coaching people?
Insights that I never had before that I have now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what are your clients teaching you, I guess? Because
Oh,
they
what are
say
my
they are.
clients teaching me? Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
question. Um, what are my clients teaching? They're teaching me to stay present,
Yeah.
100%. They're teaching me to judge less, to be as non-judgmental as possible. What are they teaching me? They're teaching me they're basically a mirror as well sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and this is a very common thing for coaches, maybe even therapists. It's like sometimes you're teaching something, you're sharing something that you need to take your own advice on. Like you're saying the thing, I'm coaching, I'm guiding them, or I'm sharing like, hey, do you see this? And
Yeah.
like, this is what you need to do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what I need to do. And so a lot of times my clients are like mirrors sometimes, even though I've worked
Yeah.
through a lot of things, maybe something just came up with my wife the other day. And now I'm coaching my client on something similar with his wife. And I'm like, wait a second, I need to say that to my wife, right? Like that mirror sometimes back. So it's like really being able, I can't hide. Actually, I talked about that recently, maybe a few weeks ago or a month ago, how like doing this work as a coach and the depth of this work that I do with men, there's no place for my shit to hide, for my stuff to hide, because it's I'm being faced with it all the time
Yeah.
because it's basically the same stuff I've worked through is what I'm helping other guys. And so whatever is still there or whatever hasn't been fully worked through, sometimes it creeps up in the stuff that I'm coaching them with. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I see myself in them is a different way of saying it. I see
Yeah.
myself in my clients. And so it's like, I can't hide from that. I can't hide from myself, right? Because a lot of times we can hide from ourselves because we don't talk about it. We don't do these things. We just go about life. Everything's fine. But when every day you're tackling on these things, you can't really hide from it, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Amazing. Amazing. And what would you say to end off our segment? What limitless means to you?
Limitless means to me. Good question. I love your questions today.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Limitless means that you know that it's not over, right? Regardless of how much work you've done on yourself, how far you've gone, how much you've achieved, there's always more. there's always more you can step into, not from a place of lack, but a place of abundance, knowing that I can be better. I can have more if I really want more, that I'm not limited to what this belief, to this family, to this whatever, this mindset. It's like there's more, right? Like I'm in a sense a limitless being because I'm connected with God, and God
Yeah.
is everything. I am not God, but that relationship is there. I'm the image of God, and so therefore there's so much there's so much I literally limitless, because for us to step into that state of um I'll use this word lightly, enlightenment, to get there, that's pretty, like, it's hard to get there, right? And it's not that you're like this, nothing bothers me. It means like there's so much that you can step into in your life. And so it's like knowing that there's so much that we're capable of. And the way that I look at it always is, sure, I work through something. I'm at a better place within myself, maybe in my marriage, or maybe in my career. And I'm good. I'm good for a few months. I'm good for a year, maybe a couple of years. But eventually I'm going to hit something's going to happen. And that's my sign that, hey, there's more growth. It's not like, oh, I'm stuck here. I'm bumped up against this roof or the ceiling and I'm stuck here. It's like, no, there's more. I can expand, right? And so it's like I don't force myself to grow or to get to the next level. There'll be times where I know that it's there, because it's like I'm bumping up against something, like, oh, I know there's more. Okay, well, I know there's more. It's not like I'm stuck here, right? Like that feeling of stuckness, it happens, but it's not true. It's not real.
Yeah, for sure. And where can our listeners and audience know more about you or find you?
Yeah, definitely. The place that I hang the most right now is Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, it's at the canvas within. If you type that in, that is my handle on Instagram. That's where you're going to find all my content. That's where you're going to find me the most. And soon, my website will be ready, kevinbenevides.com. But for now, Instagram is definitely the place to go and connect with me.
Woohoo! Thank you so much for coming, Kevin. It was an honor.
Yeah, thank you for having me.